Hamilton Ticats lose 33-21 to the Toronto Argonauts on Sunday night. And Steve, we've been talking about the issues that the Ticats have been having all season long, concerns in the secondary, concerns on special teams, concerns with penalties. All those things were prevalent tonight, and there were a couple of new things as well.
Well, and one of the other things that's been maybe season long is a lack of consistency on the offensive line, and that really showed tonight as well. I had some players tell me, a couple of players mentioned the kinds of things you're talking about here, and it's right on, bang on, that those are problems that have been recurring all year. Okay, in game 1 and game 2. Not now when they're heading into the stretch. That sounded worrisome to me that players were expressing that.
Zach Collaros, I think, spent most of his game either running for his life or getting up off the turf after taking one hard hit after another. He did not have his best game. There's no question about that. I think he made some poor decisions. He took some responsibility for that. Took all the responsibility, as is typical of him. But he did not get a lot of help up front.
That was a misleading 300 yards. I mean,
yeah,
there he is again. He made the 300-yard mark, and that's amazing when we look back at the stats. However, it was not pretty to watch that way. He just had no help there, and I'm wondering if the receivers helped him out as much as they could. There's a couple of drop balls, a couple of guys didn't come down with balls. Jump balls or sort of point of contact, I'd like to do the numbers on that on both sides of the ball. I think the Argos won it by a massive margin.
Well, and full credit to the Argos, and Kent Austin was careful to give the Argos credit. They played better than the Ticats in all three phases of the game. And also, I think what the Argos did was they changed up their philosophy on defense. They don't, generally speaking, blitz a whole bunch with defensive coordinator Rich Stubler, who is a bend but don't break kind of guy. But they did this game. After blitzing less than a half a dozen times at Labor Day, they brought the house early and often, and it made a difference. I think they caught the Ticats by surprise.
I think they did too. I think both Zach and Kent Austin, and I talked to all four of the five linemen. They said, well, he didn't do that much difference, but that's a trees thing. The forest is the frequency of it that they talked about. You don't see that from Stoops very, very often, and you do what you have to win. And let's take a look at what they did. They did this without their starting middle linebacker, right, who was hurt in the last game. And they did this without their quarterback. I mean, who were the two most important positions on either side of the ball? Middle linebacker and quarterback. Argos didn't have either one, and they won the game.
Yeah, in full measure to Dan Lefevre, who hasn't started a game in 2 years, has been here less than a month, or just over a month, and played great. Was the guy we saw in spurts in Hamilton, a guy that could throw the ball down the field, but also move the sticks with his legs. He played, given the circumstances, I thought he played as well as you could expect.
I thought he did too. I thought he did what you needed to do when you're going to hang on to the ball a lot. Remembering that the offense, what was the difference? 10 minutes in the first quarter, the difference in time possession. So now, not only are you out there longer, you're chasing a guy.
Well, and the dynamics of the East Division has changed a little bit now. Both teams at 5 and 6. It's going to be a horse race to the end. The Argos also announced at the end of this game that they've made a trade for Bomber quarterback Drew Willie. Timing of that is just incredible. But things are going to be interesting down the stretch now. This is not a two-team race in the East Division as it could have been had the Ticats won this game. This is going to be all three teams right to the end.
Yeah, and you pointed out that the Argos now consider themselves a contender, given the trade that they made to get Drew Willie. Whether he ends up the starter, my suspicion is that he will be. They don't come back here for a month, They don't play here for another month. So this was a good way, at least from an Argo point of view, to get out of here. But Winnipeg.
Interesting.
I mean, Kyle Walters made some moves today, didn't he? That were pretty interesting. They got a much better backup, I think, or a much more proven backup. They got a starter in the secondary who just made 2 interceptions today, and they picked up 2 Canadian draft choices, first and third, and they only gave up a 4th. They got pretty well a lot for nothing here.
It's going to be interesting going down the stretch. Make sure you check out The Spectator all this week and 3 Down Nation for all the news from around the CFL. Reporting from BMO Field, I'm Drew Edwards. That's Steve Melton.